Hi, I'm Dr. Rob Silverman, Amazon bestselling author of Inside Out Health and host of Proven Health Alternatives. Today's guest, Dr. Barrie is the world's most renowned expert on vitamin E. And boy, he shared some insightful information on vitamin E. Tocopherols versus tocotrienols. He also has a great visual of the annatto flower. So if you're interested in seeing it, go to my YouTube channel at Dr. Robert Silverman. Enjoy the podcast. Hey everybody, Dr. Rob Silverman here, Proven Health Alternatives. I've got world-renowned Dr. Barrie here. And my God, he is going to talk about vitamin E. He is without question the leading expert in the world on vitamin E. Dr. Tan, it's a pleasure to have you. How are you doing today?
Thank you. I'm well. Just before Chinese New Year, I'm happy to be here.
Oh, excellent. Gong hei fat choi.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah. So, you know, it's very interesting. Your bio is fascinating. You've been hailed as a trailblazer and the world's foremost expert on vitamin E. You're actually credited with discovering tocotrienol in 3 major natural sources: palm, rice, and annatto. In addition, you are a scientist first and foremost, and I truly appreciate that. You earned your PhD in chemistry and biochemistry from the University of Otago, New Zealand, and you've spent many years as a professor at UMass. Right now, you're spending the bulk of your research time on lipid-soluble nutrients that reduce and slow chronic conditions. So tell me a little bit about all that research. Tell me about all the, working at UMass and everything.
Thank you. Well, yeah, this thing that I stumbled into tocotrienol vitamin E is somewhat of an accident. I got a chance to study palm oil from the Malaysian government because I was originally from Malaysia, and palm oil is very orangey color. I was attracted really to the color. So since it's a vegetable oil, if you remove all the vegetable oil, then you remove all the color, which I was studying. But I always noticed that it's about 0.1%, small amount of it is neither of the vegetable oil nor the color. Then I found out, oh, it looked like it's got very strong antioxidant property. Told them that, no, oh yeah, this is just vitamin E. So I did an analysis. I found out that only 25% I can account for, which is 1 peak. Then the other 3 peak, I said, well, gee, this is not vitamin. I don't know what it is. Well, anyway, that got me interested to look up what they were because they're very potent antioxidant. Then to find out that it was a tocotrienol from palm. So that was my first thing. And then soon after, I was contacted by the Prince of Thailand, a little bit Cinderella thing there. And then they said, well, do something that Thailand people are interested in. So I said rice and teak. I didn't find so much in teak, but I found in rice, in the bran of the rice when they extract the oil. Surprisingly, I also found tocotrienol. However, this time I have 50% tocopherol, 50% tocotrienol. Palm will be 75% tocotrienol, 25% tocopherol. So then the rice thing is slightly less useful, but nevertheless, it was a discovery. So on and about that time, my interest was drawn back to the color again. It was 1994, now everybody knows it. 1994, Harvard professor discovered that right flanking on the back of the retina is a keratin called lutein and then zeaxanthin that filters out the blue light. For then, it was a stunning discovery. So when it did it, he said that could help people to prevent macular degeneration. Now everybody knows it, they take it for that. Then oh, hey, I know that if I go to South America, I can locate this giant marigold plant with the petal that have lutein like that. So I went, and sure enough, I found the giant marigold plant, about the size of a da bao, big bao that Chinese people like, not the small one, the big one like that. And that's much bigger than our garden variety marigold that we have in our country. Now, that was my goal in going to Peru to look for that. But fate has it, literally 30 feet away from me is a plant. And that plant is called annatto. I have a beautiful picture in the background like that. They're usually red looking or green looking like this that you see here. This plant is what we use to extract the color. The color is yet another keratin. So when the pot open like you see on the bottom here, like I show you another more beautiful red one you see, the intensely color plant like that. Those color are keratin like that. And you notice that is a very unusual fruit. The fruit have no flesh. Almost all fruits have flesh, but this is a fleshless fruit. with only the seed. The seed actually looked like a fruit itself. Well, why is that important to me and arrested my attention? I knew also of this annatto color. It is a carotene, but carotenes are inherently unstable. Then I thought, wow, remember, I did not go to Barrie to look for this. I went to look for the macular degeneration thing, but I was caught up by this. And I said, there must be a very powerful antioxidant that protects the color so that the color will not decompose. Little did I was expecting it to be a polyphenol. I mean, tocotrienol is not the only antioxidant in the world. I was expecting it for polyphenol, like green tea extract, resveratrol, quercetin, curcumin. These are all polyphenolic material. However, it was not. Surprising to me, it was tocotrienol and completely free of tocopherol. So for the first time, not palm and not rice, they contain 25 to 50%. I found a source of tocotrienol entirely from nature and is free of tocopherol, containing only two tocotrienol and the two best known, most potent tocotrienol, and the most potent one is delta tocotrienol, for which this plant have 90% off. Then I realized I cannot go to lutein and zeaxanthin. I got to park that. I went there to do this. I got to do this. So there it is. So today I'm hoping that you can ask me all kinds of questions, what this can do, animal study, clinical study, like that. So that's my short answer to how I discovered this from Anna.
Well, without question, you're enthusiastic, and those are great discoveries. So I'll dial it back and we'll pierce it all together. So number one, why is vitamin E so important?
Why is vitamin E so important? The vitamin E is important because in each of a human body, we have about 38 trillion cells. Now that's a very big number. 38 trillion cells is about 5,000 times the population of the earth. So you can get, so each human body like that. And each cell must have a cell wall that contain all the things inside the cell. And the cell wall is made by membrane. And if you slice it further, the membrane is aligned as phospholipid. So if you think of all the phospholipid that wall the whole cell, so most of it are fat with a phosphate group on top, fatty acid, so it's very labile to oxidation. Besides that, you will have cholesterol that help in the fluidity of the cell. And then in it will contain antioxidant that protect the cell wall from oxidation. Most people don't know this. So rather than me jumping straight to say vitamin E, I'll let you know the actual fact. There are thousands of antioxidants in the world. People talk about astaxanthin, CoQ10, all these are good, but they are not lipid antioxidant to protect the cell wall. 90% of those lipid antioxidant in the cell wall are vitamin E molecule. So therein, I tell you the explanation why vitamin E is important. One. Then further from that, I'm going to differentiate tocopherols, which is for vitamin E, tocotrienol for vitamin E. Tocotrienol, the head is smaller and the tail is shorter. What that means, it dramatically means how it moves in the cell wall. A tocotrienol is 50 times more potent than tocopherol. So said as it is, it's dramatic, but it's not quite believable. How can it be 50 times more potent? And the reason is this. UC Berkeley in the 1970s discovered it. They figured out a way, basically the tail of the vitamin E anchors into the phospholipid of the membrane, look like a sperm. The head is facing the outside water, the tail sticks into the phospholipid, which is the cell wall. A tocopherol tail is longer, so it anchors deeply. It moves around the cell slower. A tocotrienol shorter tail anchors less deep, flies around 50 times faster, hence 50 times faster in capturing free radical. So therefore, free radical meaning that we need oxygen to live. So, but every so often, one oxygen will go bad and then will oxidize the lipid. So tocotrienol is able to spin around 50 times faster and therefore able to inhibit oxidative damage much faster than tocopherol. So I compare a vitamin E, tocopherol, and tocotrienol this way. A tocopherol is a local policeman, stay within the confine of a city. A tocotrienol is like a state trooper. It covers the entire state. That's it. So it covers a much larger surface area, 50 times faster. That's it. So that's it with vitamin E.
So that's great. So I mean, that's it. There's a lot there. So essentially, it's an elite antioxidant, and it works at the cell membrane level. And it's great that you mentioned how many cells there are, and every cell has a cell membrane. And we all know cell membrane health is critical to our overall health, and why tocotrienol is different than tocopherol, because it's 50 times quicker moving around, ameliorating a lot more free radicals. So it's extraordinarily effective as an antioxidant in the cell membrane.
In the cell membrane. And then to add that piece to make it really powerful, Dr. Silverman, is it 90% of all the antioxidant in the cell wall, they are vitamin E molecule. Only 10% of the vitamin E molecule are all the other 1,000 antioxidant. That means evolutionarily and structurally, chemically, the near perfect lipid antioxidant to protect the cell wall actually is a vitamin E molecule, which is why in fish oil, people put vitamin E. You know, they put in curcumin extract and some rosemary extract. They don't work as well. Vitamin E is the compound that works as well.
That was the next question I was going to ask about omega-3s, because the populace thinks omega-3 is the only thing for the cell membrane, and you're saying it's the second most important thing, but minusculely in comparison to the 90% of annatto-E.
Yes, that is. And then also for people, because so many people take omega-3, keep this in mind. If you take omega-3, we measure in the blood. That's just a measurement of how much get into it. Eventually, this omega-3 cannot float in the blood. It have to go and incorporate into the cell wall. See, the public need to know that. So if it incorporate into the cell wall, then suddenly this very good omega-3 in the cell wall, which is very good to help the pliability of the cell, which is good, you see. However, you need this omega-3, which is very oxidizable, to be protected. So people who take a lot of omega-3, which is good DHA, EPA, they just need to take the similar amount of tocotrienol to protect the cell wall, which is now incorporated by the omega-3.
That's a great takeaway, because we have a lot of people, the populace loves to take omega-3s. You've just made a compelling argument to take vitamin E with omega-3, but you mentioned a ratio. So let me just say that most people take 2 grams of EPA DHA, which is a decent amount. How much vitamin E should they take?
If they take 2 grams of omega, good question, Dr. Silverman. If they take 2 grams of omega-3, this is only to protect the antioxidant as an antioxidant for the omega-3, not other health. They will have to need a minimum of 10 milligram, very minimum. This is almost like suboptimal. Less than that, then the body is going to make the omega-3 oxidize. So you want to take good omega-3. The last thing you want to take is having good omega-3, and then you have lipid peroxide, high oxidation. That's bad. So that's a minimum, absolute suboptimal. Less than that is simply not good to take omega-3.
Just to reiterate, with the cell membrane, vitamin E and omegas are very clearly important in that pliability, the fluidity to the cell membrane. And as you said, it has to be pliable, because if the cell membrane is stiff, it usually implies omega-6s, and it leads you down a deleterious path towards poor health.
That is absolutely correct, because when it's pliable, then the cell wall will let things go in it should, and let a waste go out the way it should. So now keep in mind, I'm not suggesting that people for optimal maintenance of health to take 10 milligram. 10 milligram is the minimum required to protect just the omega-3. I usually recommend to people who have all these many cells like that, and then to have them as an antioxidant maintenance of normal health, to take a minimum of 150 milligram. Here it is. Designed for health cell. This, if you see annatto-E 150 milligram like that, that's for normal one. And then as you ask more, I talk about different clinical study, then I can talk about other one. But for the minimum protection, 10 milligram. For the normal health, 150 milligram.
Great takeaway. So antioxidant, anti-aging properties of annatto tocotrienol. Could we talk a little bit about that?
Yes, anti-aging. When about 20 years ago or so, when people start to study this, I think the broad picture is we have so many ills and so many concerns in our body, but it seemed to me that tocotrienol worked best in that area for which is chronic condition, aging chronic condition. And of the chronic conditions space, I'm now summing the hundreds of study into a nutshell and boil it down to a reducible form. We know that as we get older, our lipid increase, meaning cholesterol and triglyceride increase, and sugar. These are metabolites like that. So that is something tocotrienol can mitigate. Another one would be because of the metabolic syndrome space, diabetes space, we decided that how about we study fatty liver disease? So we study that space. And in the women's health, because of postmenopausal thing, we also study at menopause the women osteopenia, not yet osteoporosis, but osteopenia on the early stage, the first 10 years at menopause. So we studied that. All of these are aging process. And the last one, of course, is in cancer. Now, I agree that there are juvenile onset of cancer, particularly brain cancer and blood cancer like leukemia. But of the 400 known cancers, most of them are cancers caused by as we age. So we study about 5-6 different cancers. So those are the category of aging thing that we decided to commit ourselves to study.
And if someone wanted some of those studies, where would they be able to find them?
Now that you asked that, I've recently wrote a simple book. It's called The Truth About Vitamin E. So if you were to go online to get a copy of this book, I cite all the citation of where to find them. And you can just go to barrietan.com. My first name is spelled Barrie. And then if you go there and you type health alternative, because that's your show here, then they'll be able to get a copy where all the citation will be in it.
Outstanding. So I'm going to combine the next question. So we'll talk about some recent clinical trials. I'll ask you a particular item. Hit me the mechanism of how it helps. So for instance, I know combined with lifestyle, because everything is lifestyle, and part of lifestyle is diet, mental relaxation, exercise, and supplements. Tell me how the vitamin E helps with lowering lipids.
Okay. It was in the early 1980s in University of Wisconsin, and it was in the early advent of how people was going to make statin drug. This is before it all came out to the scene. And they work on an enzyme called HMG reductase enzyme. So if that enzyme is critical for the synthesis of cholesterol, so the statin thing really hit like a key. You lock the key, and then the enzyme stops. So statin drug drops the cholesterol by almost 40-50%. Tocotrienol work on the same enzyme, but it doesn't lock the enzyme. It actually modulates the enzyme, so the enzyme would lower but not blocks it. So it would lower about half of it, 20 to 25%. So that is the mechanism how tocotrienol work. It dialed down the enzyme rather than completely jam the enzyme and make the enzyme not work. Because of that subtle nuance, tocotrienol does not cause myopathy. That statin drug does. So
yeah, that was my question. Does it come with the side effects that some of the statins do? And you just answered the question, and that's great. And everybody should know that's in phase 1 of the liver. So with that being said, you can talk a little bit how it protects the liver then.
Okay, before I talk about talking on the liver thing, we actually teased that out to see if the tocotrienol would mess up, because in statin drug, it lower CoQ10. Everybody knows that. They take supplemental CoQ10. So when they give them tocotrienol, we measure the CoQ10. The CoQ10 did not drop. So that to confirm that it had no side effect. On the liver thing is like this. Many people who have metabolic syndrome, high triglyceride, fatty liver, this and that, and diabetes, so it was just complex. So we decided that how about we look at the liver? Approximately 25% of Americans have fatty liver. That approximates to 80 million people. So this is a very, very big group, and it's a silent disease. You cannot feel any pain other than if you measure triglyceride, it go up, and the doctor will do ultrasound, and then you can see that your liver is fatty. So we decided to do this, and we gave people about 600 milligrams. And then this is what we noticed. The fatty liver index dropped about 12-13%. The triglyceride dropped. Little bit of the lipids also dropped. The C-reactive protein dropped. and very critical and important to people who are liver specialists is the liver enzyme that is elevated in these fatty liver people. Did they drop? That we also found that it dropped. We did two studies, independent study, one for 3 months and one for 6 months. And the one for 3 months, the C-reactive protein dropped about 20%, and the triglyceride about 15%. And then in the 6 months, it dropped about 25% and 18%. So there's a continuum. Now, for takeaway for people who have this condition, this is a very simple takeaway, Dr. Silverman. After 3 months, these are overweight people. They are not obese. After 3 months, they drop 10 pounds. After 6 months, they drop 18 pounds. I am not saying that tocotrienol is a weight loss product, but hey, after 3 months and 6 months, they drop about 10 and 18 pounds respectively. There's nothing to sneeze at. So we're really thrilled because it's overweight people. And the first study in 3 months is published. The second study in 6 months will be published soon. So again, if you get a copy of that book, it will say where the 3-month study is published.
Well, that's a substantial amount of weight. And it was, as we all know, fat cells are depositories for toxins. So when people try and lose weight, the toxins come in. And if the liver is functioning better, i.e. via the vitamin E that you're recommending, we're going to have that cascade, and it's all going to pose fabulous outcomes at what, as you just said, weight loss. So again, it's getting to what we like to talk about as the root cause resolution and making the systems function efficiently. And that's very exciting. And in my office, I've used the vitamin E on some of my weight loss programs, and it really imbued the patients with a lot of enthusiasm, and they've got better outcomes with the addition. How does the vitamin E help with bone health?
Okay, yes, we did the study on osteopenic patient, postmenopausal patient. So we also gave them 300 milligrams in one group, 600 milligrams in another group. So this is a short answer to that. We noticed that in the women who take it, think of a cell as a osteoblast, growing cell, osteoclast, knocking off the cell like that. So pretty much if you take the tocotrienol, it increase the osteoblast and decrease the osteoclast. They usually use a ratio. The ratio is in favor of resisting bone loss. One, the inflammation also dropped. During this time, the inflammation increased, the inflammation dropped. And the last thing is, we also studied the oxidative damage because her estrogen dropped and then the oxidation increased. By the way, the estrogen of a woman is an antioxidant. It's a phenolic compound antioxidant. So we measure the oxidative stress, and the oxidative stress is reduced. So that is very good. Now, as a take-home message, so clearly that is positive. As a take-home message, there are many bone health products out there. Why is this tocotrienol work differently from other people? I'll put it in very simplistic language. Calcium. Calcium is a constituent mineral of the bone, for which tocotrienol isn't. It's not a mineral. And then people say vitamin D also works. Vitamin D is a hormone. It chaperones the calcium to the bone. So that's a function of vitamin D. Then there's vitamin K. Vitamin K makes a protein that is kind of like a lattice. So it traps the calcium in its place. So the calcium will not come out of the bone. So I just explained to you the popular one. And tocotrienol does not work in any of these three that I mentioned. Tocotrienol increase the osteoblast, decrease the osteoclast. So maintaining the bone's ability. The bone is an organic dynamic thing. It's not just a hunk of bone, it's organic. It replaces itself once every 24 months. So that is how tocotrienol, it works intuitively with the actual life dynamic bone itself. Osteoblast increase and osteoclast decrease.
Great takeaway there, because bone is dynamic and people don't realize that. They think what you have is what you keep and you lose it and you can't grow back. Osteoblasts build bone up, osteoclasts break it down. The problem with women as they go through the changes in life, they get that unleveling between osteoblasts and osteoclasts. So it's a great takeaway for not just women, actually. Men also lose more bone post 40 than women. So this is very exciting because, like you said, it's working with the dynamic movement of the bone. And you listed some of the other things that, as functional medicine practitioners like to use, which is the vitamin D, good quality calcium, and K in what they do. So I guess you would say that vitamin E should be added to your armamentarium for bone health.
Amen. I'm 100%. And that work has been published. It was done in Texas. That same professor who did the work currently is having an ongoing study for women, postmenopausal women that with obesity. So we have to hold tight. Another year we'll see that, because people with obesity is carrying a lot of stress in their body, including inflammation. So that study is ongoing. I hope to visit her next month, and then the study will complete at the end of the year. So it's a little while yet. So she's very focused on aging problem of people, particularly in women. So there, it will be coming. So we are testing more and more theme. But for now, that is the answer for your bone health.
And you said, you know, in your answer with bone health, you also described how it decreased inflammation.
Yes.
So with that being said, cancer cells, do you want to talk a little bit about that and its effect on cancer cells?
Yes, on the cancer thing, well, if you think 20 years ago, about more than half of all the published study was on cancer, but nobody, including cell line and animal study, but nobody is dabbling into the clinical trial. We said, I got to have clinical trial on people. So now you fast forward in the last 6 years, this is a long time coming. In the last 6 years, Dr. Silverman, we committed to study about 5 cancers, and somebody else included, and the total 5 cancers are ovarian cancer, breast cancer, lung cancer, colon cancer, and pancreatic cancer. So of all the trial, a professor in Florida studied pancreatic cancer, deadliest of all cancer, and even as low as 200 milligram, it kills the pancreatic cancer. And she thinks that the active dose is somewhere between 500-600 milligram per day for pancreatic cancer. On the trials, that the other trials, we will help in the funding of the study. Of the other trial, one have been published, is ovarian cancer. In short, in taking 900 milligram, women with stage 4 ovarian cancer, they're able to double their survival. One more time, with 900 milligram on women with stage 4 ovarian cancer, is able to increase their survival by twofold.
Quite impressive. Quite impressive. So in addition, exciting new steps with a new supplement that's also sourced from the Anato plant, GG. I'm seeing some work on that. Why don't you give us a look to the future on that?
Okay. GG is an endogenous nutrient, meaning that even if you don't take them, our body makes them. Just like CoQ10, our body makes CoQ10. As we age, our body don't make enough CoQ10, so we supplement CoQ10 because CoQ10 is good for the cardiac muscle. So that I purposely say CoQ10 intentionally. The whole molecule of GG is embedded into the molecule of CoQ10. So therefore, as we age, if we don't make enough GG, that actually will be the reason why we do not make enough CoQ10. So low CoQ10 actually is a biomarker for low GG. It's only one. So another one would be MK4, vitamin K2. MK4 is synthesized in our body. The entire tail of MK4 is a GG. But that's not, so that should get the attention of the whole audience, but more than that. The synthesis of protein requires GG. It is not an amino acid. It's actually a prosthetic arm for the synthesis of the protein. So when we get older, if we don't have enough GG, we are synthesizing protein, free floating in space, not anchored, and the protein become dysfunctional. It's not able to put. Look at it, my face, my skin, my hair. Well, I don't have much of that. My hair, everything, my nail, they're all protein, you know. And so without GG, we're not able to synthesize it properly. So therefore, we should take GG because this is actually super basic to the elemental health of a person, including making vitamin K2, CoQ10, and the synthesis of protein.
So
for that, a Design for Health also sold, they simply call it Anato GG 150 milligram. So I have been taking it for the last 2-3 months like that. So if you go to Design for Health, you can find this. So the two would be vitamin E, the Anato tocotrienol, and Anato GG. So it's a wonderful thing. I'm really, to think of this, I'm really honored of the millions of compound plant-made. I happened to go to South America and I found in the Amazonia, while looking for lutein for the eye, I stumbled onto this plant to do this. I have a duty to bring it back to people who did it. So if your audience on the simplistic thing, on this beautiful thing that I caught, you see the another plant with the Amazonian tree frog. This is about the size of a dime. If you're interested on the shorthand, this book will document many of the things that I said. But for those who wanted the hardcore nitty gritty, I'm also the senior editor of the tocotrienol textbook here, like that. If you just Google this title or Google my name, you can purchase it on Amazon. It's more pricey. If you email me, we will probably sell it half price or 3 times cheaper. This is just purely a labor of love. Not pushing to sell book, just to get this into people's hands. But you can buy this on Amazon and we have no take in it. But if you email me, you can get this for half the price or 1/3 of the price. But this one here, you can get a free copy, electronic copy, but I have hard copy as well, which I'll be glad to send to you, Dr. Silver.
I appreciate that. So your email, why don't you give me your email since you mentioned it, and we'll have it pop up, but give me your email and you can give your social media handles. I have them right here.
Okay, the email to send to would be life, L-I-F-E, life at American-River.com. My company is American River, so life, like I'm having life, L-I-F-E at American-River.com. And then when you do that, you can post questions, ask and request for different things. We're glad to send you answers to that. So this is a new day for vitamin E. People know vitamin E for the longest time as tocopherol. It doesn't do much good for us. Tocotrienol is a new day for that. That's why I wanted to write the book on the truth about vitamin E. If the audience want to take a breather space for me, if you simply type the word tocotrienol on the space outside, you will be surprised on all the published work by many, many different professors. Not all of them are connected with us. They are just doing the independent work. So in other words, if tocotrienol is true, people will publish about it. If tocotrienol, what I say is false, they will also publish about it. So when you read, you'll find that this is truly a new day for tocotrienol vitamin E that is unshade properties to the normal tocopherol. The normal tocopherol is simply an antioxidant and nothing more. But tocotrienol, it mitigates chronic condition, anti-aging. And then the GG is what a blessing. GG is, we are the first company launching GG. This is an entirely endogenous nutrient. Hopefully you'll get me on board, and another time I will speak interview on just GG by itself.
Absolutely. I'd love to do that. We will book that shortly. This has been, without question, extraordinarily informative. Your passion and your life's mission come across, and I'm happy you were able to share it with all the followers. Dr. Barrie Tam, it's been my pleasure. Proven Health Alternatives.
Thank you, Dr. Silverman. Kong Hei Fat Choi.